Monica Stenberg here, and I'm very excited to share a prophetic word that I believe the Lord is highlighting in this season. You know that the Bible tells us that about the sons of Issachar. It says that the sons of Issachar were gifted to know the times and the seasons. And I believe this. I believe that we are sons of Issachar, not because any one particular group of people is from that tribe. I believe that because the Spirit of the living God lives inside of us, we, like the sons of Issachar, can receive insight into times and seasons. And boy, the Spirit of the living God's been given to us and is poured out in us, and he leads us into truth, and he tells us things that we don't know. And this week, I feel so inspired about what the Lord is speaking to me. We are in a really powerful season. I want to just take a moment to remind you that earlier this year, many of you would recall that in the springtime, we experienced something that was referred to as a true Passover season. So much was going on in the world system, still going on, but at this time in the spring, during the Passover season, boy, prophets all over, pastors and teachers began to rise up and declare, obviously, that we were entering into what was considered a true Passover, where people were acknowledging and celebrating the Feast of Passover like never before. And then we moved a little further along and come in May 31st, actually around that time, we began to hear more, not just from the Spirit of the Lord, but from teachers and pastors and prophets all over the land, began to declare that like we had experienced a true Passover, that we were entering in to a true Pentecost, the Feast of Weeks, which is the second of the three major feasts named in the Old Testament law, calling the Jewish people that they had to come and present themselves before the Lord 3 times. And so that was the second of the feast. Well, I want to tell you something. The third feast was referred to as the Feast of Tabernacles. And this was the third time of the year that the Jewish people, the men of Israel were required to come and present themselves in the place that God called them to. And we are right in the middle of that time right now. This is what's considered the 7th month on the Hebrew calendar. And the Lord began to kind of awaken me to this and show this to me. I promise you that I'm not tracking these things on the calendar. A lot of people think because I bring this stuff up that I'm following it regularly on a calendar. But honestly, the Spirit of the living God leads us, and he'll lead us into truth. And over the past week, he's begun to lead me into a truth about the times that we're in right now. So I want to read this to you just to give you an awareness of this feast. Leviticus 23, starting at verse 34, says this: "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacle for 7 days to the Lord. On the first day there shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no more customary work on it. For 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. On the 8th day you shall have a holy convocation, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. It is a sacred assembly, and you shall do no customary work on it. These are the feasts of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering and a grain offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything on its day." Well, this is the feast that we are currently in. On the Hebrew calendar, the 15th day of the 7th month began on our calendar, the Gregorian calendar, on the 2nd of October, just Friday of last week. So these 7 days, 8, if you add them all up, days, is the Feast of Tabernacles, this feast that is mentioned in Leviticus 23. It goes on to tell them what they ought to do, but let me just give you a quick rundown of what this looks like, even in modern days. What this looks like is on that Friday, they're instructed, you'll see that in Leviticus 23 if you read. It tells them to go out and bring branches and boughs and to begin to build a booth. And they're to build a booth outdoors. So you have, even in modern days, Jewish people who observe the law, they will go and they will build this outdoor little booth. In fact, they refer to the Feast of Tabernacles as the Feast of Booths or Sukkot is the word that they use. And they build these little booths outdoors. It might be in their backyard. I've heard stories that in New York, where they don't have a lot of backyards, although there's a lot of Jewish people, they have these little balconies, and you see these little booths built all over on these balconies outdoors. And they build them, and they are, in fact, instructed to not build a fourth wall. Like, you can have this side built of the booth and this side and the back, but you must have at least one wall wide open to the outdoors. And what they do, the purpose of this, is to commemorate the wilderness wanderings. It's to commemorate that God brought his people on Passover out of Egypt. And he brought them to Sinai, and he brought them 40 years they wandered. And God provided everything. He brought water out of a rock. He brought manna, food for them to eat, bread from heaven every day, except on the seventh day, the Sabbath, where he said, you won't collect it on this day. You'll get double on the sixth day. He made sure that they had everything they need. We are talking about a lot of people. There was no Walmart, no Costco, nowhere to go get provision, no jobs that they could go get to get the resources they need. It was not in their power to provide for themselves. And so we see God's faithfulness. And during this time, the Feast of Tabernacles, Jews and some believers all over make sure to memorialize and commemorate God's faithfulness, that during the wilderness, God didn't leave them or forsake them. He was with them. He provided everything. They could not provide for themselves. And I believe that in this time that we are walking in, I feel the Spirit of the living God coming upon me to declare to you that you are in some ways, many of you feel like you're wandering still. You've come out of Egypt, and you've come out of things that you didn't know you needed to come out of. And you're wandering, and you're wondering what is going to happen and where are we going? Well, the Lord your God is leading you, like he led them all the way to the promised land. He's going to lead you. He's going to guide you. He will provide for you. And this is a great season for us, this Feast of Tabernacles. I am not suggesting that you need to go and find the Levitical laws of what to do and how to do it. That's not how I celebrate it. But as God has brought it to my mind, boy, am I aware and acknowledging this time and this season. And acknowledging God as my provider, acknowledging that frankly, all these years that I have walked with him, and even in the years where I don't walk so well with him, he was faithful. He brought me through. He was with me in the night, and he was with me in the day. You know, the Bible speaks of that wandering time as he was with them at night as a pillar of fire. You know, at night, in a desert, it gets cold. That fire would have kept them warm. And that fire would have been a light to them in the dark, probably kept away predators because they wouldn't have come near it. In the dark, they might have been overtaken. The Bible reminds us to be sober and vigilant, for our adversary, the devil, is walking around like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. But I declare to you that your God is with you like a pillar of fire. And he is keeping you warm. And he is lighting the way for you. And he's going to continue to lead you and protect you. And in the day, he was with them as a cloud. Well, why would a cloud be good? Well, it's hot. The sun is beating down on you in a desert without shade. The elements would just ravage you. But like a cloud, he covered them, shaded them from the heat so that the sun did not scorch the people. And I declare to you that the Lord your God is shading you, and he is going to cover you. You may be looking at things, could be things in family and health, could be economic and financial things. It could be emotional and spiritual, and you just don't understand what's happening. It could be their concerns over the political landscape of things, but I declare to you that your God is the same God who led the children of Israel all those years, 40 years, supplying everything on his own, by his own hand. He brought them out, and he brought them through, and he brought them in, and by his own hand, he brought you out. He sent his son Jesus to pay the price you could not pay the price that I could not pay. He sent him to bear those prices, to pay every price, to redeem us, to bring us out, to bring us through, and to bring us in. And the Lord your God is faithful. And in this season. This is I'm just telling you, the Spirit of God is upon me right now to prophesy to you that you are in a season where you must begin to remember and declare that He is the one who guides you. He has always been the one to guide you, to deliver you, to lead you, to feed you and provide for you, and to take you all the way, all the days of your life. Jesus said, I will never leave you or forsake you. Even unto the ends of the age, He will be with us, regardless of what comes upon this earth, regardless of the shakings that this earth or we may experience. The Lord our God is faithful, and He will remain with us. Well, I want to encourage you to take time this week to begin to declare and remember the goodness of God. Go back and read about the wilderness wanderings. Yes, they were disobedient. Yes, there was some things that happened, but God was faithful, and He brought them all the way. And begin to declare His faithfulness over you. Begin to come before Him and honor Him. Memorialize His faithfulness, and you will see that He will continue to do that for you. And He is going to take us all the way. Well, I love you. I bless you. I declare that the Lord your God, He is with you. He is for you. He has paved a way for you, and He has even written down in His word testimony declaring His faithfulness so that you would see it and see the testimony. And then that you would begin to experience it and become the testimony that He is faithful and He is good and He provides everything. Well, I bless you today, and I declare this week is going to be a game changer to you as you go before the Lord and declare His goodness. As you begin to receive this prophetic reality that the Lord your God is causing you to remember His faithfulness, it's going to catapult you into strength and faith and victory in the season ahead. Bless you.
Thank you for watching today. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. And if you'd like to start a house church, either with The Rock, a Foursquare church, or with Solid Lives, our global discipleship and church planning ministry, go to one of those websites. Go to therock.com for The Rock or solidlives.com for Solid Lives. Click on House Churches and fill out the interest form. We'd love to partner with you to advance the kingdom of God.